The Phoenix Cricket Club was founded back in 1830. We're coming up fast to our 200th anniversary. We'll be the first club in Ireland to reach that landmark and are preparing for it already. At that time, the club was founded by a number of famous characters in the script. Charles Stewart Parnell's father was a founder member, and many members of what we would call the aristocracy or the ascendancy class at that time. Initially, the games were played over in fields to the west of Baggot Street, and then the club ground was moved down beside the Wellington Memorial, which is here behind the trees. And in the early 1850s, the OPW required us to move from there because of the need to straighten the road, which is now Chesterfield Avenue. And they granted us the use of this magnificent ground here at the Phoenix Park, 150 yards square, and we commenced the building of the pavilion in and through the 50s. It was a very basic structure at that time, but it's quite a nice spot to be stuck now. The club in its early days featured all of the best cricketers to play in Ireland. Cricket was a massive game in Ireland at that time, and in fact up to the foundation of the GAA in the 1870s, cricket was the biggest organised game in this country. The famous cricketers who played here are countless, and if you were to pick just a few of them, they would end up with the likes of, into modern times, people that I actually knew and still know: Jimmy Boucher and Michael Holliday. But going right back, W.G. Grace was here, and the famous Lawrence, the father of cricket in Australia, father of cricket in Ireland. All of the best teams came here on tour. The South Africans came here, teams from Canada and from the UK, and many of our players played in these places as well. The club shared its membership with people predominantly from Trinity College, where they played a shorter summer season, and when that season was finished, they also played for Phoenix in the later half of that year. Those kind of people were some amazing characters. Frank Browning, who was president of the Irish Rugby Football Union, was one of those people, and he lost his life in 1916 in a very tragic incident down at Morehampton Road. Another person who was a member and in the same team as Frank Browning, and in the pavilion we have photographs of these people in their cricket gear, was Robert Gregory, the son of Lady Gregory, and he was the subject of the great Yeats poem, An Irish Airman Foresees His Death. Robert Gregory was a much decorated British ace and fought in the war, and is reputed to have diced with the Red Baron. For the first approximately 75 years of its existence, this club was an entirely male preserve and featured among its membership captains of industry, some of the finest sportsmen in Ireland, both UK-based people and Irish-based people. There were many multiple internationals: rugby players, squash players, hockey players, tennis players, and cricket players. The club was known in its early years as the Premier Club, and that was because it attracted so many of these stars, and it effectively saw unto itself the right to pick the Irish team. This lasted for quite a while and caused quite a fuss when other people who decided that maybe there should be rules about picking the Irish team, like a selection committee, decided to become active. For instance, up in 1919, the Leinster branch, as we know it today, was first founded. But the Phoenix Cricket Club once arrogantly decided that they couldn't play. They withdrew their members from the team to play for Ireland next week on the basis of inadequate numbers selected. There were only 6 of the 11 from Phoenix. So you get an idea of how these people saw themselves. They sort of lost their grip as we went on into the 1900s, and the early writings tell us that ladies were first admitted into the enclosure here, not into the pavilion, but into the enclosure, approximately 1907. The club now has moved on very fast from that, however, and it has a wonderful mixture of men, ladies, boys, girls, fans and hangers-on, alicadoos and everybody else. There are some very, very young kids there. We have children now from 6, 9, 11, 13, 15, and we number among our present players both boys, men's and women's, boys and girls internationals. There are people who are gaining selection for Ireland from Phoenix here, and as the game of cricket grows and Ireland takes its place once again in the international arena, we have people who are involved in that. We had a high peak in these days when the famous win over Bangladesh, when Jeremy Bray opened the batting. Jeremy was with this club at the time. He scored 105, and David Langford-Smith was the opening bowler on that team, an amazing character who was here with us for many years, an Australian. And since then we have continued to have players feature in the current Irish international sides. The ladies have made tremendous progress and they have changed the club completely. I'm not sure that we would have a club still existing after all this time if it weren't for the input of the ladies. Such has that input been that back in 1989, Phoenix, amazingly for the club it was, elected the first lady president to be elected in the Phoenix Park. She was followed rapidly by Mary Robinson in 1990, and Mary Robinson's son played here for a number of years, played his cricket here, and she came and attended. In fact, she was the guest of honour at the cup final here. I think it was 1981, famous Clontarf YMCA cup final. After that, we were always friends with the big house in the park, and always rang them up and said, why would you not be an honorary member? This was actually a problem when the president became a lady. So the first lady was from out of here, and the current president invited us up to his big house when we contacted him on his arrival in the park. He is yet to make his return visit, but I'm sure we'll see him shortly. So now, all this history that I have been telling you is lovingly recorded by the magnificent work of Michael Holliday, and it features on the walls of the long room in our pavilion here. So anybody who is interested in that can see that and can learn more about it by looking on the Phoenix website, www.phoenixcricketclub.com, and you'll find there all of those history, and some of the stuff is amazing. Please do have a look at it. I want to finish by thanking you for your interest in Phoenix, wishing the Heritage Week a great success. I'm a big fan personally, and look forward to seeing you here at Phoenix sometime in our magnificent Phoenix Park setting. Thank you.